Yo, Bracy Skillskin is back with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'm getting right into it, man. Spurs fans, let's learn from the Utah Jazz, okay? Let's learn from the Utah Jazz. Now, I know we only 10 or 11 games in, so, still a lot of basketball left to be played. But as of today, the Jazz are the number one seed in the Western Conference for whatever it's worth, whether it's worth nothing, little to nothing, whether you think they're going to fall off and still miss the playoffs. Regardless, today they're 8-3. And what I mean by Spurs fans learning from the Utah Jazz is I did a video yesterday and I was talking about how, although we would love to have Victor Wembanyama, the current players on the roster are the ones that have to help shape and build and form this culture. And I said yesterday that it's tough to build a culture if you don't either win or play a winning style of basketball. So the Spurs have lost 4 straight games. Tough games, tough opponents, 2 of them to the Denver Nuggets. But even in the losses, the Spurs have played a good style of basketball that can lead to us building the culture we once had or something close to it. I think the foundation players are there. But with the Utah Jazz, you look at them they were a team that was supposed to be right with us as far as tanking for Victor Wembanyama. And you've seen how they come out and they've played this year, and they've played some very inspirational basketball. But more importantly, I think the biggest mistake that happens in sports, especially basketball, is fans underestimate how good these NBA players are. And fans also make predictions based off popularity. And I have a problem with that because, as Spurs fans, we're never going to get the popularity vote. Even when the Spurs were winning, with Tim, Tony, Mano, the Spurs would never get the popular vote. It'd always be Kobe and Shaq, or the Phoenix Suns are more exciting with Nash and Marion and those guys. Or even Dallas to get the nod before us. We don't get the popularity vote. But they do play a good style of winning basketball, which is why the Spurs have won 5 championships in the past 25 years. So with the Jazz, you're dealing with a lot of young guys like Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, who don't want to become journeymen, right? They're still young, and they don't want to become journeymen in this league. They're trying to find their niche, and they're trying to show their value to a team. And doing that, you're going to get a team full of hungry players that are all trying to prove something, and that's what we're seeing with the Utah Jazz. On top of that, even the vets that they have, I guess you consider Clarkson a vet. He's been there for about, maybe 7-8 years in the league. But, the Mike Conleys, the Malik Beasleys, all those guys are vets, but they're still trying to prove that they still have something left in the tank and or are worth a bigger role or bigger contract. So even the vets all the way down to the young guys are all playing hungry. And they have an excellent coach in Quinn Snyder. So when you tie all that together, they know that they don't have a quote unquote superstar, but they're going out there and they say, you know what, we're gonna play unselfish basketball, we're just gonna play hard. And that's leading to wins, because when you look at the Jazz wins, there's nothing glorified. Okay, they're just going out there and just competing. Look at Tucker. Tucker is another one that is trying to prove something. The Lakers traded him for Pat Bev, and he's trying to prove his worth in the league. He's still relatively young. So I guess what Spurs fans can learn from the Jazz is just winning, even when you're trying to tank, even if you win games, it's not all bad, because you're establishing a culture, and you just never know how things are going to work out. You know what I'm saying? We hope the best for Victor Wembanyama, but he still hasn't played an NBA game. I do see the talent there. I do think he's going to be a problem when he gets in the league. But what I'm saying is certain situations matter, and tanking does not guarantee that you're going to end up with Victor Wembanyama. It's just reality. I want to see my young guys compete on the Spurs. They did that. They have been doing that all year. And I want to see our guys develop. And I want to see Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson turn into all-star players. Maybe even Trey Jones. Trey Jones is continuing to win me over as a point guard. So when you look at the core, or somewhat of a core, it's starting right now. I see something with Devin, Keldon, and Trey Johnson. Or not Trey Johnson, Trey Jones. I'm going to do another video speaking on those 3 specifically on my next video. But I think Spurs fans should really be paying attention to how the Jazz are going about this development process, because even if they don't get Victor Wembanyama, they're still implementing a culture to where guys are not going to turn down the opportunity of maybe going to the Utah Jazz because of the way they're playing basketball. Like, look, Rudy Gay looks happy. Spurs fans, do you guys see how Rudy Gay looks playing with the Jazz? Like, we would think that would be a depressing situation or maybe even a repeat of what he went through the past couple years here in San Antonio. And look at how he's playing. I mean, he looks like he's happy in Utah, and that happens when you win. When you win, you develop a culture a lot faster. We should never be looking to develop a culture that's player-driven, because when you develop a culture that's player-driven, the player has the power. And as soon as the player gets hurt or as soon as the player demands a trade, our culture's gone. Spurs fans should know that. We should never try to build a culture around one player. The culture is in the style of play. And I think Pop is doing that with these young guys. So shout out to the Spurs, man, for competing, but bigger shout out to the Utah Jazz, man. I hope the Spurs fans are really paying attention to what's going on up in Utah, man. I think we can really learn from that. All right? Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. We out.